It's the return of the Ironman World Championships to Hawaii. It is also the return of the Zwift Triathlon Academy. And both are rather unique this year, as they are women's only. Now, Zwift Triathlon Academy team is consisting of just 4 very talented athletes, who are Camille King, Livia Egler, Jana Ricktrover, and Stephanie Clutterbuck. I can't wait to meet the team and find out a little bit more about these impressive women. The Zwift Triathlon Academy comes about from athletes' ability to perform on Zwift and therefore their bike and run prowess. However, when it comes to an Ironman, they've obviously got to be able to put all 3 sports together, and that includes the swim. So we've come down to the Kona pre-race swim. It's a bit of a fun warm-up swim. They have 1 week before the big day, and it basically heads out very similar to the race course. And there's one athlete from the academy that we expect to be coming out in that front pack today and also on a race day, and that is Steph Clutterbuck. Well, Steph, we know the swim is your comfort zone, as you just demonstrated beautifully there. And, you know, we are used to seeing you dominate every swim you do and every swim in a triathlon. But some of us, like myself and some of the avid viewers, will know a little bit about your background from swimming into triathlon. But I'd love it if you could just talk us through how you've kind of ended up in the sport of triathlon.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was a swimmer as a child, which definitely gives me an advantage in triathlon. I started swimming when I was about 9, all the way through to 19, and was very fortunate to kind of travel the world and go to some amazing competitions. But like so many other swimmers, I kind of had enough when I hit my teenage years and went to university and kind of swore off high performance sport, but found rowing. And really enjoyed it, and I was pretty good because of all the background in swimming. Fast forward a couple of years and I'd excelled in rowing, but I had a back injury and had to retire a couple of years earlier than I had wanted to, and wasn't in a particularly good place either. So felt like I needed a challenge just to prove to myself that I kind of was good at something and I was capable of doing something that I set my mind to. So signed up for an Ironman, and at this point I hadn't swum in like 5 years and I didn't run. The only thing I did was cycle, but on a watt bike in a gym. So it was a huge challenge, and definitely one that I was like, I'm not sure I can finish. And did it, I think it was 11 months later, went out to Copenhagen and raced. I think I was 16th in my age group, 11 hours 18, and it was just the most amazing day. And it was really hard, but I absolutely loved it and I was hooked. And that is how it all started.
So a lot of the other girls on the team have been to Kona like 5, 6, 10 times, and I think quite a few have also raced here 4 years ago when you were doing your first ever Ironman. You've obviously had a very fast forward trajectory of the last 4 years. I know you came here for the first time last year. Just talk us through a little bit of 2019 to last year and then what happened last year.
Yeah, so after Copenhagen, I kind of decided that I was like, I wonder what would happen if I actually paid attention to what I was doing. So going into Copenhagen, I only trained off heart rate. I had a dumb trainer, so it was a wheel-on trainer, and we invested in getting a smart trainer. I got Zwift for the first time, and it was a good job too, because a couple of months later we were in lockdown with COVID. So I was put on furlough from work and basically just trained because there was nothing else to do. So I had an amazing year of training. I really invested in my running because that was my weakest part, and yeah, so that was 2020, and I didn't race another Ironman until Portugal 2021, 2 years after my first one. And I had no idea where I was going to be. I'd had a bike accident 10 weeks before, so I was very, very nervous, and still, carrying a couple of niggles, and I'd had a broken thumb that hadn't quite healed. So I had no idea where I was going to be. And again, just had this incredible race. Where I won overall, and I just didn't expect to, and it was such a rewarding feeling, and that qualified for me for Kona last year. But I was desperate to be out here, enjoying the island and getting across that finish line. I had a brilliant swim, and I got out onto the bike, and I felt this niggle. And I was like, I must have kicked a rock in the swim because it was in my big toe. I was adamant I was going to finish, so got off the bike. and went for a nice walk and decided I was going to walk the marathon because I couldn't run. But eventually I succumbed to heat stroke, and it's one of those things like I can do the performance and the training side, but nutrition is very, very new, and swimming and rowing, they're such small, short events that you don't need to worry about your salt intake or your carb intake because you're racing for kind of 2 to 7 minutes. So it's VO2 max rather than like endurance. So yeah, that was how last year finished, and it was absolutely heartbreaking because it was 12 months worth of investment from me and everyone around me to get me here. And I knew at that moment that I needed to make a change, and if I was to come back this year, it was going to be no stone unturned.
Obviously, along the way of that, you then qualified or got selected for the Zwift Triathlon Academy. So I'm intrigued to know how far you'd got down that line of having the stones unturned and how much further being in the academy has taken you.
So I think we had identified all of the areas that we thought we would need to make a change. And very simply, I needed to get a coach because I was self-coached last year. I wanted to invest in upgrading my bike because it was still a home-built bike that I'd kind of bought different parts for. And we were like, you know what? We'd like a fast bike that I can trust. The wheels aren't going to move if I hit a pothole, and the brakes aren't going to rub and all that sort of stuff. And the last piece was making sure that my nutrition was dialed and spending time understanding the intricacies of my body because we're all different. So what the Zwift Academy has done is kind of tick most of those boxes for me.
So I could explain how the process works and how these 4 age group athletes have made their way onto the Zwift Triathlon Academy, or I could ask one of them to explain for me. Camille, thanks for joining and for getting on the turbo for us. Before we come on to the process, I would love it if you could just tell me a little bit about your journey into triathlon and making it to Kona for the second time.
Hi, Heather. So I have a background of just being really active as a child. I did a lot of rock climbing, a lot of skiing, a lot of gymnastics. And then later, as an adult, I started running. Mm-hmm. And I started doing endurance running. So I did lots of ultras and marathons and things like that. And that led me to starting triathlon about 5 years ago. Okay.
And you've podiumed at the long distance world champs 4 times, and you only started triathlon 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a pretty good track record.
Yeah.
And when was your first time out in Kona?
So I came here in 2019.
Okay.
So I've only been there once in 2019.
So quite a long hiatus. So I guess we had the pandemic and
Yes.
Did you try and come back last year or?
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talk to me about your journey into the academy. Like, when did you decide you wanted to qualify, and what was the process?
Yeah. So I knew about the Zwift Academy, but I don't own a treadmill at home. So for the last years, I've been doing the Zwift bike sessions, but not completing the application because I didn't have a treadmill. And so this year I decided let's try it. And one of my friends has a treadmill, so I had to go to her house and borrow it a few sessions. And so I managed to take all the sessions. And then I took it from there.
And what did you actually have to do? Like, I think quite a few of our viewers and myself, I'm interested in, so you did all the sessions and then...
Yes, so I think there were 3 workouts on the bike and 3 workouts on the treadmill. And then you had to do a time trial on the bike and a short race on the treadmill.
Okay. And then you just sent that off and waited to see...
Yeah, sent it off and wait. And I almost forgot about it. Because I thought the odds of me getting it were so low.
Yeah. Now, I would love you to tell me a little bit about the kitting out, because we didn't get to come out to Germany and see it, but obviously you're riding a very Swish-looking bike and in cool kit. Just briefly talk me through what happened at the kitting out and...
So it was incredible. So for me, it's like being with some of the greatest in the world, doing the thing I like the most in the world, which is triathlon. So that's amazing. And so we went to the Canyon headquarters in Koblenz in Germany. Mm-hmm. So we got a tour of all the different types of bikes, and it was fascinating. And then we got kindly gifted this amazing bike, which looks absolutely awesome.
And it looks like you've had a decent bike fit on it?
Yes, we had a bike fit by another amazing expert full of knowledge.
Well, after hearing Camille talk about her kit and getting a glimpse of the bike, I think we should take a closer look at some of the perks that the team are getting with the Academy. And obviously, you can see that they're staying in this pretty incredible house. It also comes with a chef who's cooking all the meals, so don't need to worry about that. They've had bike fits, and of course, they've got these pretty awesome Canyon CFR Speed Max That's ridden by Jan Frodeno. I mean, he doesn't get to ride it in this colour. It's pretty impressive, isn't it? And not only that, doesn't end there. It comes with an in-house mechanic. Ian, you're working hard behind me. I don't want to interrupt because I know this is like a little bit naughty when a mechanic's in his zone, but what are you up to? Whose bike are you working on?
Well, this is Steph Clutterbuck's bike. She's having a little bit of a squeaky head tube, so I thought I'd take a quick look at it.
What else have you, what are the sort of general requests you've been having from the athletes this week?
Anything from like changing a tire or maybe swapping out a wax chain, something like that. But pretty low-level stuff here. I'm just kind of here on site to
do the hard graft.
Just a little bit of emergencies here and there. But they do have full support from Canyon. They're going to send a mechanic prior to race day to go through all of these bikes and make sure they're in tip-top condition.
This is almost the service level that Jan Frodeno gets at the Canyon. I mean, you know, the bikes are provided. I mean, I think they did bring them themselves, didn't they, this time? But having you and then having the Canyon mechanics, pretty good, good perks, isn't it? And a very good-looking bike. I won't take up any more of your time. I'll let you crack on with it. Thank you. This is the Zwift Triathlon Academy team, so you'd expect to see them riding on Zwift, but they have already logged hours and hours just to get selected, and they're still going to be spending plenty of time on the turbos in the Zwift house. However, they obviously need to have a bit of an idea of what the course entails. So today, they are driving part way out, and then they're going to be riding out to Harvey, the turnaround point, and back again. And they've kindly invited me along for the ride, and this could be one of those times where I would be wishing we were on the turbos. I'm just hoping I can keep up. So yeah, Liv has kindly slowed down enough for me to almost catch my breath and grab some words from her, and I'm curious to know how it feels 4 years after being out on the bike course.
Oh, amazing. I love it. I mean, honestly, this is like the nicest part because you have this amazing view. And yeah, it's nice. We had a nice tailwind before the headwind came on, and it was nice. So riding fast on the roads, it's always fun.
Yeah, awesome. I agree. We have been lucky with the tailwind. I've also might be doing a little bit of drafting, but no one needs to know. Just caught up and grabbed my coffee. This woman is incredibly strong on the bike, and you know this island like the back of your hand, don't you? How many times have you been here?
This will be my 9th time, so yeah.
And it's your 10th Ironman World Championships?
Correct.
Okay. And am I right in saying that you won your age group last year and back in 2019, is that right?
Yeah, you're correct. 2019 and then 2022.
Okay, so you're someone who's pretty much like at the top of their game, and then you've now managed to make it onto the Zwift Triathlon Academy.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that, you know, as this team has got quite a lot of different experience, and you've obviously got the most experience from that, and now you're getting this sort of icing on the cake. Having been here so many times, and I imagine you already turned over pretty much every stone, what's the Zwift Academy giving you? Like, what's that extra bit that you're getting from this experience?
Yeah, I think honestly it's been such amazing support. Not just obviously all the different sponsors that we have, but also the experience of the other ladies on the team, as well as Tim Dunn and Sarah True, the pro athletes that have a lot more experience than I will ever have, right? 2 Olympians. I mean, it's like you just can't get that anywhere else. So it's been absolutely amazing to have the support all year long, just in terms of knowledge, as well as best of the best equipment. So.
And like coming here, having already, you know, I guess in defending, you're still in the same age group. What are your goals? Like, do you have performance goals? Because you're obviously very performance driven.
Yeah, I think, you know, winning or losing, or regardless of position, it's always about doing my very best and performing up to my own standards and my training. So I always go into the race, yeah, maybe I want to win, but I think what's most important is that I perform up to my own potential. So if that means I know what I can do, and if that's what I do on race day, I know I can put myself in that position, but I have to race my own race. You know, especially in the age group field, you can't, you know, just follow somebody blindly from mile 1 because you're gonna pay for it, especially on this island. So yeah. I think all the experience that I have had here on this island definitely taught me that I just got to do me for really until the last 10K on the run, and then it's gloves off.
Then it's race.
If the energy is still there. But
that's giving me
just gotta do
goosebumps.
me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And being part of the team, how has that sort of changed? Is it changing like the way you feel going into the race, or are you? I mean, I imagine you're confident. You know this island like the back of your hand.
Yeah, I think again, just the support. We have an amazing team. I may have the most experience on this island, but that doesn't mean that there isn't other experience to draw from. So, having just a much bigger support crew and cheering crew out there, especially on that run course, is going to be absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Obviously, it's quite windy here. We're up at Harvey at the turnaround point on the bike course. We've just ridden part of it. How do you find the wind? You're obviously very strong on the bike, and we saw you just fly off up here. Do you like the elements that the island gives you?
I love it. I think I would like it to be a little bit windy on race day. Not scary windy because it can get quite bad, but I think I'm strong on the bike, so I'm comfortable. And the more wind, the better. And I kind of feel like this new bike that we have turns into a little bit of a sail if you just let it. I mean, it's part of it. It's part of what Kona is, and I think it, if you want to experience it, we got to have some of the conditions.
Well, back at the house, the athletes have showered and refueled, and it's time to find out a little more about Livia Egler.
I was always a sporty person from when I was small on. I think first race I was 3 years old. It was downhill skiing, and then I think it's because of my family. My parents, they did a lot of sports. We lived in Africa, so it was a lot of outdoor things, and then Switzerland as well. I mean, it's great for doing sports. It's a beautiful country, and they started doing running. So I was then signed up for the kids race. I mean, logically, and I had a lot of fun with that. I moved to other sports, then more like volleyball, figure skating, and then I ended up again with running. Did it a little bit more. Not competitive, but just what you achieve some results and then times, and then I got often a little bit more injured. So that's when I switched to triathlon. I thought not doing just only one discipline. So swimming is good, cycling is good, so it's not too much on the legs and the ankles. And I then did my first triathlon. And since then, actually, I got hooked and I never stopped. I really like it.
That's such a common story, isn't it, of the injury into triathlon. Is running still your strongest?
It is, yes.
Yeah, so when was your first triathlon?
My first triathlon was 2016 in Berlin.
Okay, so you're relatively still quite young in the sport in a sense. And I know you race Bundesliga still.
Yes.
Which is, what distance is that? Super short?
Oh, yeah, it is. It's really short. It's really hard. So, I mean, they even have a new format now, which is that it's even shorter than sprint distance. So sprint distance, it's 750 meters swim and 20-kilometer bike and a 5K ride. So that's the normal short course. But now, because you have in the Olympics now, they have the mixed relay, so which is shorter. And they're also trying to get all the young people to get used to this short distance. So that's also why they included it now in the Bundesliga. So I also did one of those, and I mean, it's just. Coming from a long distance, I crossed the finish line and I was like, oh shoot, I'm already here. I probably should have given much more, but you're just not used to it. It's 1K run at the end, and so that's completely different, but it's fun. I mean, it hurts a lot, but just to spice up the training, I really like to do it.
And tell me about the goal or the aspiration to get into the academy. What sowed the seed initially of wanting to make it into the academy?
Well, the first time I heard about it was in 2019 when I raced here. I mean, I saw all these orange athletes.
Which athletes was it? Was that Ruth Astor's?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And Nadia van Hen, she was in my age group at that time. She also won it, and I just saw that, and I was and I saw all the support that they got, and I followed a little bit the story, and I thought it was if I want to get back and also really race with the best, then I mean, if you get the best support, that also helps you to also get this little percentage a little bit better. And that's when I said, when I want to come back, I definitely want to apply, and we'll see if I get in it or not.
And how did you get, what did you do specifically to try to get in the team? Because that's I just think it's incredible, a goal, and 4 years later you're here.
Yeah, so at that time I haven't used Zwift yet.
Right.
I then decided, okay, I mean, I want to get to know Zwift, the platform and everything, and also and then I really started enjoying it, and especially during COVID time, it was amazing. And so, I mean, honestly, I did not think so much about it. I just knew I will apply that year. I haven't applied the years before, and try to do the best as I can in all the workshops and everything. And I mean, I think it's also a lucky punch. You never know. Like, I mean, so many women applied, and I'm sure like amazing outer rimmers as well. And I'm really happy they chose me. So yeah, very excited.
Do you know, I really could hang out at the Zwift house all day. It's pretty plush here, but apparently the athletes need a bit of space. It's time for them to start to mentally and physically prepare for their big race. But the good news is, we will be hearing from them again. We have part 2, where I'm hoping to get the real insight of how they were feeling before the race, the highs and lows of what went on, and a little bit of a recap from their full experience. I think that just leaves me to say the best of luck to Steph, Camille, Jana, and Olivia. We will be watching them closely on race day. Well, hopefully you've enjoyed it. You want to get behind them, give us a like and leave any good luck messages in the comments section below.